Hello and welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick. We have something a little bit different today in that yesterday I went to run on the Wahoo KICKR RUN treadmill, the very exciting new treadmill from Wahoo that's available in the US but not in the UK. I'm going to dive into my impressions of the machine and give you some more of an introduction in a minute, but first I want to run through some of the key stats on the machine, starting with the price, which is $5,000 plus $300 for delivery, available in the US now, in the UK late next year. It's a big machine, so it requires a lot of clearance in terms of space, both to the sides and behind you, and also above you. They recommend that you have a clearance for height that's 24 inches greater than the height of the tallest user, because the treadmill does sit quite a long way off the floor. It's got a very big running belt. It's 69 inches times 22 inches, really spacious. Certainly noticed that on the run yesterday. Very high top speed of 4 minutes per mile, which is 2.29 per kilometre. Got a maximum incline of 15% and then a maximum decline of -3%, so you can do some downhill running on it as well. The machine has paddles that you can use to control speed and incline, and they have almost incremental changes you can do on them. So if you can do a half tap on each for a small bump in speed or incline, or a really big push that then gives you a bigger jump, and you can actually, if you hold it in position for something like on speed, you can increase the speed very minutely, almost to the second in your terms of your pace, which is shown on the console in terms of minutes per kilometre or mile instead of the kind of standard speed measurement you get on most treadmills. Also on the console you get your incline, but you do not get time and distance. The treadmill actually isn't really recording that information. It's very much designed to be used in partnership with apps which you connect to via Bluetooth. So you won't see like total time and distance on the treadmill itself, only in connected apps, which you can use on a tablet or phone or even on a laptop on the massive tray that's on the front of the machine that has a strap for holding a laptop in place and that kind of thing. The big exciting features on the machine I'm going to talk more about in a minute are things like the RunFree mode, where you can adjust your speed without having to use the pedals just by positioning yourself on the belt a little differently, and in general a natural running feel thanks to the belt material used and also the way it can tilt laterally, so you don't end up landing on an entirely even surface the entire time, which again mimics the feeling of outdoor running a bit more. There's a bit more detail on those features to come before my run, and then we'll talk through my experience on the machine. Good morning from London. As you can tell, I'm at the Wahoo offices here to try out a very special product. I'm going to try out the Wahoo KICKR RUN treadmill, which is something I'm really excited about. Obviously, it's this new treadmill from Wahoo. It's now available in the US, coming to the UK and other countries next year, which has some really unique and novel features, like the RunFree mode in particular, which allows you to basically just run on the pace, and it will increase and decrease in line with you as you increase and decrease your pace, quite naturally. So delivering hopefully a really natural running experience where you can just speed up by running faster. Though you can obviously use things like paddles on the machine to do that if you want to instead. But that's the main thing I'm looking to test here today. I'm going to do my 60-minute easy run on the plan today. So I'm going to do that on the treadmill, play around with the paces, speed up, slow down. It's got a very high top speed of 4 minutes a mile, so probably won't be spending too much time at that top pace. But other features on here, you've got a running belt that's designed to simulate like a hardtack kind of trail, so give you quite a nice experience underfoot, and it has a lateral tilting mechanism where it moves kind of half a degree on a slant either way, so you're not landing in the same spot every time, because outside you never really run on a completely level surface, so that creates again a more natural running experience. And that in particular I'm quite interested in, because one reason I don't use treadmill loads and loads is that if you have a little niggle, you land in the same spot all the time on a flat surface. Sometimes I worry that will exacerbate that niggle, and having that slightly uneven surface here as it moves, I'd be interested to see if that's really perceptible at all. But yeah, so that's a load of really natural running features. I'm really excited to give it a go. I just did the setup on the machine to try out the kind of RunFree mode and other little features like that, and now I'm going to go and actually do a proper run on it and see how it feels. So all done after an hour on the Wahoo KICKR RUN, and that was amazing. Like, it really, I had very high hopes and expectations for this machine, and it's kind of surpassed them when I was using that RunFree mode. It really does feel very easy to move up and down in speed, but also crucially it's quite easy to lock in on a pace, because I was a bit worried that if you're in that mode, be jerking around a bit, you're getting slower, faster. But actually no, if you're just running normally on the spot like you would run at a pace, it just kind of stays at that pace, and then you can speed up, kind of just lean forward a little bit, start landing a little bit further forward on the treadmill, starts to speed up, and then you can ease back a bit quite naturally as well. Like, it's not entirely the same as speeding up or slowing down when you're running, but it's a very natural movement to do it on the machine for sure. And you can go very fast. I took it right up to top speed for a second or two, because 4 minute mile pace is moving some, but then you can easily speed up to kind of more natural interval paces for yourself. I locked in on marathon pace for a bit, and actually what you can do is go in the RunFree, jog around a bit like you would in the warm-up, ease up to your pace, exit the RunFree mode, and obviously the treadmill then stays at that speed. It doesn't move around at all, and then you can move it with the paddles very quickly. It accelerates and decelerates very quickly indeed. That's
great for intervals, great for kind of everything really. And it's got a thing where if you're using the paddles to speed up and down, like if you're at slower speeds, when you press the paddle it jumps further, because if you're trying to get up to speed, you might want it to jump up a bit quicker rather than moving in kind of linear increments each time. And you can actually really fine tune the pace down to the second. Pace is shown in like minutes per k or minutes per mile rather than kind of classic treadmill speeds, so that's handy as well if you are looking in on the pace. One thing that isn't shown on the machine is your overall time and distance. I would have liked that. I was jumping around between apps, so obviously it's very much designed to be used with lots of apps, and then you get your workout recorded on there. You see the total distance, total time, but because I was just messing around trying different things, I don't actually know how far I've run. I've got my distance on my watches, which are obviously different, very different, because treadmill and watches don't always calibrate very well. But so that's one thing I wouldn't mind seeing on the thing as well. Because you just see your pace and incline on the machine. Did link it up to Zwift, both in controllable and non-controllable mode. So the controllable mode is interesting. In Zwift and you're cycling, you get that kind of little image of the hills to come. You get that, and then you can see it, went up an incline, then down incline. There's see downhill on this treadmill as well. And yeah, it was just a really great experience. Like I really enjoyed running on it. Did an hour on the machine. It's quite even. Getting rid of all the kind of things on there, all the RunFree mode and all that. It's just a really nice piece of hardware with a big open front, so it's quite relaxing and natural to run on it full stop. The belt is nice comfortable, and all around I loved it. Like I use a treadmill a fair bit, I test treadmill sometimes, but I'm a huge fan always of running on a treadmill, and that was just a really good experience, upgrade on normal treadmill experiences. And I think it would really come into its own even more, certainly if you're doing something like intervals, when you want to just suddenly burst into pace, hold a fast pace, and have to think about your pace, because that's the thing about the RunFree mode. Like when I was doing it for like my marathon pace, like you have to get there and then hold that pace, actually thinking about it, like thinking about leaning into it, putting that pace through the machine, rather than normally on a treadmill, you set it to the pace and you kind of clock out mentally and just run that pace, and it doesn't feel as engaging as when you're using that RunFree mode to try and maintain a target pace. I think that's quite an interesting little addition there that might help runners, or maybe you prefer just setting it to the non-RunFree mode at that point and just dialing in on that pace and letting the machine do that for you. But either way, yeah, really tremendous stuff. Like I'm sure lots of runners are going to be excited about this. Obviously comes at a very high price tag. It's also a very big machine, so you're going to need the space for that. It's got some nifty features though. It's got like an almost auto level, so if you're putting it into an uneven floor, which is very much the case for me if I'm putting it in the garage, or even sometimes inside if you've got a mat under it or something, the floor might be a bit uneven, it naturally levels it for you, so the machine is at a level base, and it's very solid and stable at high paces. Like I took it up to the fastest paces on the machine just briefly, and it doesn't start jerking around or start rumbling or anything like that. It doesn't feel ominous. It's not incredibly quiet, but it's not that loud for a treadmill either when you consider like how fast you can go on it. Got this big tray in front of you as well for all your things. So you can't, it's designed to work with a laptop there. You've got the strap there to hold that and all that. So yeah, really enjoyed that run on it. It's certainly, I think, going to shake up the treadmill market a little bit. There's nothing else really like that. High price, but not outlandishly so, I would say, for a very high spec treadmill. Like if you just want to get very high speed and a normal treadmill experience, you can certainly get that for less than $2,000, £2,000. But there's a lot here you can get an upgrade with by looking at the Wahoo KICKR RUN.
So really snap verdict on the machine. I hope to go and test it again, and hopefully be able to test a unit more extensively next year in the UK. But it's a really great machine, I think. Like, it's really interesting, and if you're someone who's really excited by the features on paper, like I were, in terms of that RunFree mode, then they will deliver in person, in my experience. Like, I really enjoyed that first run of them. I really want to go and do some intervals on the machine, because I think it'll be even more, useful for that kind of thing, the way you can speed up very quickly, whether you're using the paddles or the RunFree mode, and yeah, it just delivers a fantastic experience all round. Now, the actual hardware, even without the kind of novel features you get here, is very impressive and kind of in line with its price tag. So that price is really, really high, but comparable machines I've tested, things like the Technogym Run, which is like $12,000. So Wahoo could actually have come out and said this is a $10,000 or pound machine, and set it at that, because they're almost setting their own price here, because they're doing these features so well that haven't really been done by anyone else, and you're getting excellent hardware as well. Only thing that's kind of missing compared to lots of top spec machines is a built-in screen, but you have got that tray, which actually means you can use stuff that you already have, and then you don't have to use a set screen. But yeah, some people prefer the built-in screen on something like a Peloton or even the Technogym Run. Only other slight negatives for me is the fact that I do want time and distance on the console. Like I don't think that clutters it up. I think that's a useful thing to have there, and I did get a little bit of static when I was using the paddles, but that might just been down to the shoes I was using. So yeah, overall I had an amazing experience. I think this is a really great machine, and yeah, hope to use it again. And certainly big kudos to Wahoo for kind of pulling this off, because clearly there's been a lot of ambitious ideas going into this machine, and I would say that it's delivered on those, especially with that RunFree mode that just really works as well as you'd hope it to.